Good afternoon and welcome to the Fireside Chat. The General Grand Master is currently on a flight from El Paso back to Atlanta after constituting the Gran Consejo de los Estados Unidos de los Mexicanos this weekend, which was an exciting event. And I'm filling in. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll sit and field questions or conversation or just have good fraternity with those that are on. Let's get started. So if you did not know, there's a couple of things about the website that are really useful, not only for us here in the United States, but also for those in our constituent or member jurisdictions outside the United States. The first thing I'm going to point out is this language bar up here. Now, the truth of the matter is it's Google and it is not perfect, but it is a way to get some communication started. So if anybody tells you after they come in here and pick Spanish that it doesn't really tell the story right, they're probably giving you information, but what we did go and do individual pages at one point in time, and that it was just keeping up with that was more than crazy. And what we do have up here though is we have most of the languages that will get the small pieces of information across in order to get the idea across so that people can do the things that they need to do on the site. We got rid of traditional Chinese because it was just awful in the translation. It just did not take the information and give it to people. But we've got Greek, we've got German, we've got Italian, we've got Portuguese, we've got Romanian, we've got Filipino or Tagalog. So we've got languages in many of our, and now what do you do with the website? Well, there's a couple of things that are new, and we're going to go over those, but the biggest things that I'd like to let you guys know so that you can share them is under communicate. First of all, this is a live link, and I think that might change to being its own. But when you click on the actual top link itself, it gives you our mail address and our telephone and fax. And it gives you the opportunity to send an email. And we require a name and an email. And we'd like to have your phone number. That way we can fix things as they are, as they become, apparent to us. And the important part about this is these emails are not just an email. It doesn't go into an email box and then just sit there. It actually goes to a workflow where we either address the issues in the email or we don't. So we got a little checkbox. So using this system is far superior. And I know that before we had a form and that went into a mailbox and sometimes it just got missed. But what we've done is we've upgraded it to be actually part of a workflow so that there's a little, it's like something that sits there and reminds you, hey, you've got something to do here. And it lets you know when you're logged into the back end of the site. And of course, here are the first options. And we have many more that we're going to add that will, and if you notice here, contact Monty Glover, General Grand Master. So these go into his workflow, then Bill's, then Tom's, then Chuck's, then mine, and then another item not listed. And of course, marketplace orders, training and education, and anybody who's looking to join. When we get something in about somebody who's looking to join, we don't have a formalized process. We're working on that, but what we're going to do is we're going to forward it to the jurisdiction in which they live. I've been able to recently put people together with people in their jurisdictions when I've been running around at conferences, etc. and that's working out pretty well. And then a message, and then obviously send my message. This is open to anybody, and you're going to see a a reCAPTCHA down here soon, so that we don't have a lot of spam. It's a little harder to do when you've got to do a reCAPTCHA, but and for the end user, it's a little annoying, but we use that so that we don't get a lot of spam, and we don't have to go in and clean out stuff that's really not there to be something that we can serve, but it's there actually to be something that advertises to us, and sometimes it's phishing and a whole lot of other bad things. Under communicate also, we've got a sign up for the decryption, which is our mostly weekly newsletter that comes by email that keeps people informed of several different things. We advertise events there. We advertise what's going on with CMMRF. We advertise awards. Really cool award presentation coming up in one of the next couple of decryptions is a council member in Michigan went to his lodge and said, hey, we've got these things. The Worshipful Master actually bought 16 veteran recognitions and presented them in a table lodge to all the veterans in his lodge the day before Veterans Day. You know, that's how we can be of service. So we do like to advertise events like that. We like to show people ideas of how they can use the tools that we've put onto, well, we're using the website in order to get the information out there, but we've got the programs available that have come to being over time, over the last 4 years. We've got the programs available, and they're engineered to be of service to and through the lodge. Okay, the next one is just like this, what we're doing right here. We are making a, that's interesting. I think I might, oh, this account. This is an interesting, let's see if this is me or if this is something that I have to fix on our account. Oh, it's got the subscription. I didn't know that. If you're not logged in, okay. If you're not logged in to the browser, then the subscription link is going to fail you. Okay, that's interesting. Generally speaking, we have had this so that when you go and you use the communicate, this would put you on the subscribing screen so that when you want to go back, you can do it. But if you're not logged in, then it will give you a dead screen. So we'll look at our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, we've got a fairly substantive amount of videos at this point in time. And there are a lot of them that are actually really cool. If you want, and another thing that I would suggest is go and take a look at these, because another actually that's the one he used. Another companion out of Michigan, a past most illustrious Grand Master, used this video, and we found out that their soliloquy is different from ours because Bill mentions some specifics on that are referencing our soliloquy, and it generated a whole lot of discussion on the companions. And he came to me and said, explain this to me. And I gave him some information, and he continued the conversation for about a month. So these are tools and resources that we've been building up for about 4 years again, in order to give you tools to walk into your councils and say, hey, do we want to learn more? Do we want to dive in? What do we want to do? And is there something that General Grand Council can provide that maybe would inspire some conversations, allow us to go to and through the lodge, start conversations. The biggest message that I can give you is the more you have that is of interest, the more interest you are going to see. And that's what we've been trying to do. So this brings us to, that's the communicate button. And I will now bring you to the shop. And the shop has been our recent focus where we're putting up things. If you go to shop, the categories are not as ready as I'd like them to be. But what you can do is just scroll down and start seeing the other pieces that are available. And as you can see, there are a lot of them. And the to and through the lodge, the first responder medal and lapel pin presentation, I can tell you that if you're not logged into the site, as I'm not right now on this site, you're actually not going to be able to see that in the near future, because we recently had somebody in Texas purchase a deputy grand master jewel. So there's going to be a lot of things, like the jewels are going to be for members only. The awards obviously are going to be members, or actually not necessarily members. We serve cryptic masonry. Membership has its privileges. Members get a discount. If you really want to get a discount, go through your grand recorder, because their prices are different on a lot of items. But this is here, and these are available for you to go up and purchase in order to use them. If you don't know about these jewels, then please take a look through, search the decryption articles, because John Robert Balke, who is past most illustrious Grandmaster out of South Carolina, not a member again, we're serving cryptic masonry, but he did a full article. And actually he started this because in 2019, he walks up to me with the new ritual. No, the 2018. He walks up to me. I just gotten the printed edition of the ritual, and he walks up to me and says, "Your jewels are wrong." I'm like, "Okay, show me." And he did. And what we did is, over the past 4 years, it actually took us 3, because we actually had the first iteration out last year. But what we did was we took Mackey's drawings, which are in General Grand Council archives. They're in the proceedings, and we brought them to life, because if you go to the stores that make jewels that people buy, they are generally Royal Arch jewels with a trowel stuck on. And well, the conversation just got it to the point where we went out and we just produced the same jewels. And some of them aren't from Mackey. There was no grand organist or grand musician. So what we did was we took what Mackey's stencil looked like on all jewels, and we put our general symbol on. And there were some that were not. So for instance, the Marshall didn't come out until a later book by Mackey, and Mackey had never heard of a lecturer or an orator. So what we did was we used common symbology that is used in councils in order to note them, except with the orator, we made it different. We made a scroll that drops straight down and it's an interesting, and I don't know if I can, no, that's going to give me language. I'm not going to go searching for the order, but if you look through what you're gonna see is the order right here. So it's a scroll that drops straight down, but notice it's got the ineffable name inside the inverted triangle, inside the sunburst, which is directly from Mackey. And these are council jewels rather than the Grand Council jewels. The Grand Council jewels obviously have the wreath, and Mackey only went over the Grand Council jewels in the 5th triennial proceedings, which are available under resources and references. Mackie only went over the the grant, but the adaptation to be a local council jewel is quite simply make it silver and take off the wreath, which is something we've seen in a lot of masonry. So the idea was to bring back the traditional presentation. And you know, there was nothing grand quarter jewel, but it's easy to make one quill. And when we're talking about being able to order things, we're in the process of, when you come to the site, you can register up here in the upper left-hand corner. And the registration process takes you through a series of screens that asks you who you are and where you're from, and gives you the opportunity to create an account. When you've created the account, that email is going to go to your grand recorder, and they can, and part of this is asking you what type of, so the first question is interest. So you're an interested non-member, you're a supporter of the craft, and you're a cryptic mason. Well, interested non-members is somebody who's looking for more information. Supporter of the craft, for an example, Miranda Hillock, the business office manager for CMMRF, she has a login to the site. She can access resources that are available for CMMRF in order to facilitate her being able to get stats together, etc. And that's a supporter of the craft. And a cryptic mason is a cryptic mason. So once you choose cryptic mason, then you can add different things to your account. So if you're a grand officer in your jurisdiction, then the recorder can verify that you're a grand officer. If you're a general grand officer, well, then I'll get an email and I'll verify. If you're a regional deputy general grand master, if you're an ambassador, etc. So these go into a workflow process, and that person authorizes you so that you can have access to resources that aren't generally available. Now, we're putting a system into place. It's not live right now, but this is where we're anticipating everything is going to be by the end of the year. So what I would ask people to do is I would ask them to, first of all, create their account, and then we can get them set up. And also let people know that there's a lot of information and a lot of resources available on the website for them to go and start conversations that may be of interest. So I made a reference to this, the references section, the Constitution and bylaws. This is what we live by. The cryptic landmarks is what all of our grand councils and subordinate, well, all of our grand councils should live by. All of our subordinate councils must live by, because the General Grand Council is a grand council in itself. Our subordinate councils are actually, they report directly to us. They're just not within one Masonic jurisdiction. They're actually all over the world. And then there are historical documents, and these are the proceedings of the General Grand Council, and cryptic newsletters for you to go and find what people have written and submitted since 1979. But the proceedings of the General Grand Council, one of our, it's actually becoming quite the thing to have your proceedings online. But I can tell you that Most Blessed Companion David Grindle did a yeoman's job of making sure that all of our proceedings were available online. And I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that we were the first organization that. And if you're looking for those jewels that I was talking to you about, I'm pretty sure you're going to find them in the 1894 fifth triennial session. So it's either that or it's 1905. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly, but there's a little thing for you to go and check out our proceedings. Our job as cryptic masons is to preserve our traditions and our history. And we're just trying to keep that on as well, keep that ongoing, as well as providing tools for our members as a confederation where we are all equal members to go forth and be able to communicate with their members and keep the interest going in our gentle craft. Thank you all for your, and I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.